So for today's practice, I'd like to invite us to approach the practice of compassion, which is love meeting suffering, love meeting suffering. And for this edition, we'll be practicing self-compassion, so our own suffering, whether it's physical, whether we have physical pain, suffering, illness, anything that's happening physically, or whether it's emotional, psychological, pain of the heart, not literally, both literally, but also metaphorically. And two invitations tonight, two invitations for our guided practice. The first is to consider a meeting our pain, meeting our suffering, our sorrow, surrounding, infusing, holding it with love, complete love, the way we would hold a baby, a newborn, a tender young being, just holding them with tenderness, love, completely engulfed in love. That's one invitation that I will be weaving through. And the other invitation, the second invitation, is considering that our self-sense in the suffering is quite malleable in the story. Of course, there is pain, there is sorrow, there's suffering, and then there are different ways, there's different self-senses. So for example, you can think of the Buddha, who could have, his story, instead of one of nobility and service and strength, awakening, etc. Instead of that narrative, the narrative could have been, oh, I was a prince. I was, I couldn't get out of this prison of a castle. My dad didn't let me get out, and then I got out, and then, oh yeah, I couldn't, no one would after I got enlightened, oh, nobody would believe me, and people turned around, and so it could be a sense of, oh, poor me, which would be a funny way, right? I mean, funny way to even think of that story. It's kind of exaggerated. But the same way, can we think of our own suffering, our own pain, our own sorrow, however shows up, with nobility, as if this challenge, this sorrow, this pain, we are bodhisattva, just like the Buddha before his awakening. We're bodhisattva. We're offering, we're holding this pain. We're in ways maybe we can't quite understand. We're offering it to all beings everywhere for their awakening, for our own awakening, for all sentient beings. Bodhisattva, Bodhi awakening sattva, sentient beings, for all sentient beings, including ourselves. This suffering, this sorrow, it's the sense of nobility in enduring, in offering, in being with this difficulty. So that can bring a sense of, again, nobility, strength, power to being with, both the sensitivity, the tenderness in the image of holding with love as if it were a newborn, and the sense of nobility. So these are two invitations that I will invite us through the guided meditation as ways to consider, as ways to enter. And also I want to give credit to Rob Burbea. I heard these two mention these ideas as a part of a longer talk, and just got me thinking that, oh, this can be a whole practice. And the talk he mentioned this in, just to give it reference, is Love, Healing, and Emptiness, which I have mentioned before, and I believe Neil has sent it to the Sangha and the Google Groups mailing list.